I'm Arthur Moats, and I'm here to tell you about my new book, The Moats Theory of Life. If you haven't picked up a copy yet, I strongly encourage you to. This book not only is a fun read, but it's a guide to helping you become a person of impact and inspiration. If you are ready to take the next step to improving not only your life, but those around you as well, go get a copy of The Moats Theory of Life, and it's available at moatstheory.com. What's up? It's the Arthur Moats Experience with Deke. I'm Arthur Moats, and that's my main man, Deke.
Man, what's up, dude?
Man, it was a great weekend, man. Great weekend.
It was.
How was your weekend? It was good?
The NFL draft happened.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, and it was relaxing. It was a good weekend to unwind.
Definitely was, man.
Raining yesterday. I like the rain.
Yeah, man.
I'm just trying to reflect on everything. Yeah, it was just an all around good weekend. I know you've been watching movies.
Yeah, man. We are in the movie thing, heavy, hard, loving it.
Give us a little taste.
Oh, so let's see. Me and my oldest daughter, KK, we started the re-watching of the whole Marvel series.
From the
so
start.
We watched Iron Man 2. We got to watch everything in order. So we watched those two. Then after that, man, what did we watch after that, man? A couple scary movies. My kids love Annabelle. So we went and rewatched the
scary movie.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. like little baby Gray and Ava. They're like, Dad, you promised us we're watching Annabelle 1, 2, and 3. I'm like, dude, it's Sunday. This is the Lord's Day. I don't care. You promised us. I'm like, all right, we're going to watch it then, man. So yeah, we watched all three of those too, man.
No way.
Yeah, that's what we do, baby.
That's good stuff, though.
Yeah, man, it's always a blast, man. And they really quote
introducing them to the Annabelle at young.
Yeah. Man,
I respect it.
I mean, my kids, we had the Chucky doll.
Yeah.
Like the real chick, and they tore him up, man, playing with him, had him in a dress. It was crazy. I was like, yo, y'all disrespecting Chucky. Like, this is nuts, man. But, that's how we do it in the Moats household. I don't recommend it for every household, but in the Moats household, we like to have a little bit of fun. And, everything's a teaching tool, so.
No, 100%. Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all.
So that part of the weekend was great. But what was even better was this draft. And I got it twofold. I got it twofold, right? Because I get to watch the Steelers. Mm-hmm. And get to see that draft. We're going to get into that. I was extremely happy about it. But, I'm a proud JMU alum, baby.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, baby. Proud JMU alum. And we happen to have one guy get drafted, 4 guys signed as undrafted free agents. First guy, former Pitt guy, Ben DiNucci, quarterback. Yeah, right out of Wexford, man. He got drafted to the Dallas Cowboys. Shout out to him. Then after that, man, we have 4 players also signed contracts, man. Rondell Carter, he signed with the Cowboys as well. John Deke, he signed with the Baltimore Ravens. Dylan Stapleton, he's another guy from the Pittsburgh area. He actually went to Slippery Rock, transferred to JMU. He signed with the Houston Texans. Then we had Brandon Polk, wide receiver from Penn State, transferred to us. He signed with the Rams. So, man, shout out to those guys, man. And always, go Dukes. You know what I'm saying, baby. I'm just happy about that. But now.
Good for you guys.
Oh, why am I calling Josh Dobbs? Don't call Josh Dobbs on the phone right now. He might answer. That'd be crazy if he did. Right? Shout out to technology.
Quick interview.
But with that being said, man, Steelers did have a nice draft, man. I was very, very happy to see this draft. Very happy to see some of the players in this draft too, man. So I guess without further ado, we should go ahead and drop the names of everybody that got drafted. So
let's do it.
Let's make sure I got everybody lined up right. All right, the second round pick was obviously Chase Claypool, wide receiver out of Notre Dame. Then we had Alex Highsmith, edge rusher, third round pick out of Charlotte. Shout out to Charlotte too, man. Like, I remember when they first started their football program, my strength coach had just left JMU and was coaching down there.
Yeah.
I had just bought a house in there, so I would train with these guys. They were 1AA startup program, getting smacked by like 50 every game.
Yeah.
And then after like 2 years, they jumped to, I think it was Conference USA, and then they've been having success. But it was crazy to see, like, man, I remember this program when it was just starting. Now they got a guy getting in the third round.
Yeah, I'm sure that's cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So big kudos to Charlotte, man, for that. In the fourth round, they took running back Anthony McFarland Jr. out of Maryland. Mm-hmm. And then they also took Kevin Dotson, offensive guard out of Louisiana. Shout out to the Raging Cajuns. Mm-hmm. Shout out to the boy IT. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Those are the 2 fourth-round picks. And then in the sixth round, I'm always love my sixth-rounders. Shout out to them boys. Antoine Brooks Jr., safety out of Maryland. And then in the seventh round, they took the defensive tackle out of Nebraska, Carlos Davis. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man. Initially, man, I'm not going to lie. I thought it was it's hard to say Steeler-esque draft because traditionally, obviously they have the first round pick, and of lately, they obviously traded up last year for Devin Bush, and then this year it would have been Minka Fitzpatrick. But when I'm looking at the players that they drafted, nothing was like the crazy flashiness that we talked about in terms of some of the names we listed, right? The J.K. Dobbins, the different running backs who were going out. Granted, a good amount of those running backs were already gone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, that boy, he went early. I was not expecting that.
Shout out to you for,
I did
for
not
putting
think,
him on the radar.
I didn't think he was going to be the first back take. I was like, whoa.
Apparently, Mahomes handpicked him.
Yeah. So I was a little surprised, but I was like, okay, all right, I could dig that. But when we looked at some of these names, even with the receivers, I know initially when we picked Chase Claypool, it was still people that were not the most excited about the pick right away when you saw some of the other names on the board. But I think what the Steelers did, they went and addressed their needs, and they did it with people that fit their scheme, not necessarily going off of a person's name or a highlight reel and things like that. And that's the thing when I say it's very Steeler-esque, because how many times do we see the Steelers when they move and they operate? We're like, man, you should pick this guy. We should trade for that guy. Sign this guy for AC. And they're like, nah, we're going to get this guy over here. And you're like, yeah, I guess. But then you see how it works out for them. So I think that was what the Steelers did in this draft across the board. And I was very impressed by it.
Yep, that's a good way to put it. I don't know if it's just me getting older because, growing up in high school, I would always have something to complain about with the draft. Yeah. Something. Just that, there's someone on the board that we didn't pick. And, I think I'm just getting to that point. I'm just trusting the process. And wait, what?
Deke is trusting the process?
Yeah, well, there's that. And
boy, you tripping. You don't trust no process.
And you just know. So here's another thing. I looked up all the draft grades that people are giving us, the Steelers, other teams around the league. And it's just like the mock drafts and everything before the draft. Yeah. It's all different. Mm-hmm. There's no way to truly judge this draft. Because whenever we drafted, I think Jarvis Jones in that class, that was the best pick ever. He fell to us, extreme talent, and you kind of see how that panned out.
But I mean, and the thing is crazy because he was crazy productive at Georgia. I definitely.
Oh, he was. I love the pick.
Yeah, I remember this little backstory. I'm playing in Buffalo, and this is around the time where we're always drafting linebackers, and we're like, we're probably going to take an edge rusher. We need an edge rusher. And I remember we're sitting in a hotel. We had an away game. We're sitting in a hotel, and Georgia's playing. This is the game where Jarvis has 3 sacks, and I'm like, yo, this dude might take my job. We can't draft him. Nah. And it just worked out. We ended up taking, I forgot who we took that year. It might have been EJ Manuel, but we took him, I want to say, ahead of Jarvis. And I was like, oh, God, thank you. Because I was nervous. Yo, this cat is crazy. But then, obviously, things come full circle and you see how everything plays out. But, I mean, out of college, his tape was crazy.
No, absolutely. Yeah. So it's tough to judge, but right now I'm completely with you. I loved our draft. I really did. I don't think they didn't take any of the names that we were talking about. Well, most of them are off the board in terms of receivers and skill positions. So, I was completely good with it. After we picked Claypool, I was like, all right, go to the highlights. I like what I see here. 4.4 speed. I'm seeing Megatron comparisons and all the the speed, the height,
big fast thing, Martavis, man,
all that type of stuff. So I'm excited about that pick. Is there? So do you want to go? Go ahead.
I was gonna say the one thing I did find funny because we're gonna obviously go pick by pick.
I was gonna say, do you want to go just start talking about the Claypool pick and kind of everything surrounding that?
But the thing that I found funny about the Chase Claypool pick. So when the pick is initially made, I'm always checking on social media, seeing what people were hating the pick initially.
I know, that's what I was going to bring up.
And I always
people wanted a running back.
Yeah, I always find it funny how people will initially knee-jerk reaction. This is terrible, man. We drafted to lose. We're not trying to win. This and that, and that. And then by the end of the weekend, oh man, this was a great draft, man. I loved every pick, man. This guy was awesome, man. I knew we wanted him from the start. I'm like, I never heard one person say Chase Claypool. I'm not even going to sit here and lie.
No, I didn't. I didn't either.
We had a list of receivers. Yep. We both talked about receivers we wanted.
We didn't. Neither of us brought him up.
Not one draft I saw. Not one mock draft.
Well, there's that, and I think. See, I don't want to excuse myself too much, but I don't think that anyone was really expecting him to fall to us.
True.
I thought he was going to go late first. Some people probably did, but
when we talked about the main receivers. he was not a guy that was talked about in the same vein. We talk about the T. Higgins, the Jerry Judys, and all these other guys.
Oh no, definitely not.
He wasn't in that conversation.
He was more in like the Pittman, Mims,
right.
Rieger.
So when people were talking receivers, this wasn't the name that anybody would ever bring up. And that was the thing that I found funny, that, you draft the guy. Initially, everybody hates the pick. They're like, man, this guy was on the board. That guy was on the board. That guy was on the board. And now by the end of the weekend, hey, man, that's a great pick. I love that pick, man. Great pick. Awesome.
All you got to do is hear a few quotes, see a few highlights.
The thing that killed me, though, when they first showed the highlights, they weren't even showing him receiving highlights. They were showing him blocking.
It was, you knew that had to come up. You knew. It's Pittsburgh.
They just straight showed the blocker. I'm like, what is this? So wait a minute.
I mean, do you get that from any other city? Or
Not at all, man.
Pittsburgh?
Say draft the receiver second round. They showed 2 minutes of him just blocking. I was like,
I think it was like his sophomore year too.
And the clips were great. I'm like, yo, what type of video is? I'm like, you went to Notre Dame? You didn't go to Kansas City Community College? Like, what is going on here, bro? Like, this is nuts. You saw the film?
Yeah, I did.
It looked terrible. It was trash. I'm like, bro, what is this shot on, man?
It was filmed on definitely an iPhone, and it was filming the TV. It wasn't like a screen recording.
It was kind of like, it was super zoomed in too. Like the dude wasn't just sitting there on the TV. He's like in the back of the room, zoomed in. I'm like, yeah, this is nuts.
It takes you like halfway through the first time seeing it to realize what's going on.
Yes.
Like, was it a blocking thing? Then you got to watch it like 2 or 3 more times. You're like, ah, damn, this is sick.
I mean, it was impressive blocking by him, man. You could just see the mindset. We talk about, well, not even we, but with the Steelers, actually, Coach Tomlin always talks about guys having something dirty about their job. We talk about how for linebackers, right? We're bigger guys. We want to hit and be physical, but the dirty part of our job is having to cover, having to run. We talk about the skill position, the safeties. Man, they want to cover guys, but they got to do the nasty part, which is tackling, putting their face in the fan. So for receivers, they want to catch the ball, but the nasty part of their job is blocking. And he always talk about how you don't want a guy that you have to force to block. You want a guy who's a willing participant, a guy who takes pride in his work, which is why a lot of people love Hines Ward. A lot of people love Juju because they take pride in that element of their game. So when you look at the clip of Chase Claypool, you'll see like, man, this dude is really enjoying like mauling these DBs. And I mean, it was a little clever move how he does a little skip off, like he's about to get into a route and then put hands on these guys. And yeah, he's burying them. So I definitely was impressed by that, man. But when they actually did start to show him receiving and catching the ball, I did like his catch radius. I like how he was catching with his hands. We talked about even with Martavis, how it was at times where his hands looked a little inconsistent. Whereas with Chase, we haven't seen that, or at least I didn't see it from any of the clips that I saw of him. Everything like he was a good short-handed catcher. Like I said, could catch it anywhere on his body. Good quarterback-friendly target type guy. Big red zone target guy too. So I thought that was really impressive about him in his game. So I definitely like that element.
Now, one of the criticisms that I'm seeing is that he struggles to create separation.
Correct.
Now, I don't know if I was seeing something else where a scout or some type of analyst was saying that he gets the 4.4 speed.
Yes.
But in game, it's not 4.4. How do you judge that?
No.
I mean,
so this is a true, and I'm glad because we're going to get on that. Sometimes guys time faster than they play, and sometimes guys play faster than they time. So when we look at Juju timed with a 4.56, I think it was, right? But when Juju plays in the open field, have you ever seen him caught from behind?
No,
and he's getting chased by guys, by 4.4, 4.3 guys. He plays faster than he times. But now you see some guys with Chase who timed at a 4.4. I think it was like 4.42, 4.43, like something crazy. You're like, dude, he's blazing. But when you watch his tape, he doesn't. I mean, if no one said he ran a 4.4, when you watched any of those highlights, would you have said, man, that's a 4.4 guy? No. Not at all. You would think 4.5, 4.6 guy, long strider. But for him,
it looked faster after seeing he ran 4.4.
Right. Because now you start to say, well, yeah, maybe that is 4.4. He's like, sometimes with the long stride guys, the guys that are tall like him, it's a deceptive thing. But honestly, I thought the same thing. I don't think he plays at 4.4, and it's not a knock on him. Some guys, it takes more to get into it. And you got to think too, the difference between a 40 and you actually playing. When you're running the 40, there's no defender in front of you. There's nobody trying to impede your progress. If you're a long stride guy, you're a guy that builds up the speed. So meaning you got some guys who, as soon as their first step goes, they're at top speed. They're the one step and they're gone. Think your Percy Harvins, your Tyreek Hills, the guys just one step and they can go and hit it. Then you got the other guys who are long striders. They need a couple of steps to get going, but once they get going, now they're out. That's more of Juju, right? We always talk about how Juju, man, if you press him at the line, sometimes it can get a little muddy for him, right? But once he goes, think San Fran game, he catches it across the middle. Once he goes, he's gone.
Yeah.
And that's what Chase. So if Chase beats you off the line, oh yeah, he has the speed to just take it all the way. But with him being a longer strider guy, he builds up to speed, and that's the difference. So that's why when you talk about a guy timing at one thing but playing at another speed, that's really what's going on right there. He's a build up to speed guy, and what these DBs are able to do because he's such a bigger frame, it's easier to get hands on him. But he'll develop counters. He'll get way better with his hands working at the NFL level because you get pressed so much at the NFL level. Whereas college, man, a lot of them DBs, man, you might have one or two DBs who can really press man. But other than that, them DBs, they want to bail. They want to give you some cushion because they don't want to get beat over the top. At the college level, them guys, man, it's bombs. You already know it. Everybody taking shots deep. So that's the difference in the style of play from the collegiate level to the NFL level.
Got you. So that's nice to hear. That's like a nice asset to have to be able to run with it and take off and beat defenders like that. But then also have that Des Bryant / Calvin Johnson ability to where we just throw it up. And
that's the thing that I love the most.
Right.
He's a combat catch guy. In terms of, when we talk about combat catch, he can catch in a crowd. If a defender's draped on him, he can go high point the ball. He can back shoulder it. That's so if you're not a guy who creates a ton of separation, you have to be elite combat catching. Otherwise, you're never going to get a pass because you're not going to be able to get open and you're not going to be able to make those type of grabs. Now, if you're a guy who creates separation right away, well, it doesn't matter because you're usually going to have 2 to 3 yards of space in between. But if you don't create that separation, you better be great in those combat catches, the point of attack, finding ways to get it. Think Heath Miller late in his career. He wasn't separating from anybody, but you knew he was going to find a way to put his body in position to catch that ball, and he was going to be short-handed. Even Gronk. Think about Rob Gronkowski. He's another guy. He wasn't creating a ton of separation at the end of his career, but he knew how to basketball you, meaning like I'm going to box you up, put my body over here, whatever it may be, but I'm going to catch everything I need to in that close, tight quarters. And that's the thing that Chase does bring to the table. So once he learns to get better in terms of creating that separation early, that's just going to help him excel. But the thing that's going to get him by before he gets to that level is the fact that he can make those combat catches.
No, for sure. Now, do you hear any of the frustrations or complaints of, oh, we should have taken Dobbins? I think Cam Akers was on the board still too.
Cam Akers, Dobbins was on the board.
In terms of other receivers, it was really just Mims, I think, in that class.
Because Regal was already gone. Right?
He was gone. Yeah, he was in the first round.
Yeah.
Jefferson was gone.
Who's another receiver I'm forgetting?
Pittman was gone. Hamler was gone.
Yeah, because KJ went a couple picks before he went to Denver.
Yeah. There was a big run on those receivers. I think it was Mims. I have it written down. I could check real quick, but there was probably like 3 or 4 guys, but the big one that I was hearing was Dobbins. Yes, people were complaining about that.
We take Chase, and then right after us, the Ravens take Dobbins. And I think this is the thing that I find funny when it comes to the draft, right? Everybody wanted Dobbins. Everybody wanted one of these running backs between Dobbins, Taylor, Swift.
Yeah.
And when Dobbins was on the board, we passed on him for Chase. People went nuts. Then when Dobbins goes to the Ravens, it instantly becomes Dobbins not even like that, man. He's not good. Look at the scheme he was in. It instantly became we're gonna bash Dobbins to make ourselves feel better and try to justify us picking Chase. I'm like, man, if he goes to us, y'all are praising this guy, talking about it's the great pick, this and this and this. But now because he's in the division with a rival, now all of a sudden he's a bad player. Like, cut it out, man. Like, it's not his fault that we passed on him. That's just how it goes sometimes. And we talked about this prior to the draft. We said it's really going to come down to what the team prioritizes more between the receiver position and the running back room.
Or even outside linebacker.
Right, and even outside linebacker. And we said that, hey, man, they could be looking at the receiver room saying, you know what? We're confident in Juju, but at the same time, contract situation wise, we don't know if he's going to be here in the long haul. We know we would love to do business with him, but there's no guarantee that that's going to get done. So they could draft a guy then. We said with James Conner, they could say, man, we're banking on James being healthy. We're banking on Benny Snell. We don't put that running back room as the bigger priority right now. We talked about outside linebacker, similar situation to receiving room. Man, are we going to be able to get a deal done with Bud Dupree for the long term? If not, we might need to get a person for him. And you saw that's how they kind of attacked it in terms of how they prioritized their drafting.
And I just checked. Uche was on the board too, outside linebacker from Michigan. So that could have been another, I guess, complaint or whatever.
Right.
whatever with that pick. But yeah, I like the pick, and I think it just came down to weighing the options, like you said, of what do we like in terms of receiver, running back, outside linebacker, just those positions in general.
Who's more priority?
But then also, like, say you did have running back a little bit over receiver and outside linebacker. If you really liked one receiver over one of the Dobbins or one Akers that was left, you're gonna take the receiver then, just because you really like that and you believe in his talent.
And the one thing too that you're saying that we don't necessarily know how, because we'll see in terms of the NFL putting out their rankings of players. Everybody has a ranking of this player is better than that player in terms of the big board, right? Not by position. So the Steelers could have had Chase Claypool rated as a better prospect than a J.K. Dobbins. We won't know that. Only people that know that are the scouts and the people that are in the building. But they could have had Chase rated just slightly higher. So both of those guys are on the board. Both are positions of need. They say, well, here we're going to go with the guy that we got rated higher. And that could have been a part of that whole process as well. So it's a lot that goes into it. I know us as fans, sometimes we look at it and just say, well, this guy was more of a known name coming out of college. This guy was more electric. Why don't we just take this guy? But for the teams, when they really break down these guys' snaps, they're not breaking down highlights. They're breaking down every play that these guys play in. So they're going plus minus, plus minus, plus minus, and seeing, okay, did he have just 2 great plays and then a ton of bad plays in this game? Was he taking plays off? Like, we don't know that. The scouts do, though. So that all goes into how they rank these guys and why they make the moves that they make.
Well, I thought you brought up a good point whenever you were talking about just in general, what do they prioritize more, running back versus receivers with the season coming up, and like what type of system they're going to be running. Because think, with Ben coming back, what if we value the running back as more of an interchangeable thing? Because we saw whenever we had AB and those receivers in place,
it made it a lot easier.
Whenever Connor came in, the production was same when Bell was gone, and whenever Connor went down, Samuel was able to produce. So what if they're kind of thinking that way? If we can bolster up our receivers again, it will make it easier on the running backs in case we do have some injuries.
I thought that's a great point. And then also the style of receiver. Not a smaller, scatty, quicker receiver, a big body receiver. Not even necessarily take the top off, but when we're talking about blocking for the running game, a lot of those big runs that you would see, anytime you see, like, we call them an explosive run, right? 10, 15 yards plus. That happens because you have receivers blocking. Because the receivers are the ones who are going to block the corners and the safeties. They're going to get you to that second level and be free. The O-line, they do the initial work. They get you those 3 to 5 yards. But for it to be an explosive run, those receivers got to be down there getting on somebody. So you look at the mentality of a Chase Claypool when he's blocking. That plays into that as well, that nastiness, that physicality that you want to set across the board. So I think that's another element of it too, when you're talking about them potentially wanting to focus more on getting back to running the ball. I understand that, hey man, we need better weapons outside, but we also need more physical guys outside, guys who aren't small. Like Deontay Johnson, for example, he is a speedy receiver, right? But he's not the mauling type blocker that you see in Juju, that you see in this guy Chase. So that could be something they thought of, like, hey man, we need to get a bigger body person to help with that element.
Plus Vance, plus Ebron. This could be lethal, dude. Do you want to give like a grade on the pick or something like that?
Yeah, man, go ahead, man. What you say?
I just solid A.
That doesn't surprise that you would say A. Jeez.
Why? What's wrong with A? Who else were you picking?
That does not surprise.
That's a solid A.
Leave it to Deke. I should know. I don't even know why I flirted with the idea.
Wait, who else were you gonna pick?
I'm just saying. You're funny, bro.
Who else were you picking? How is that not just a solid A?
All right, bro. Hey, it's your grade, man. You good, bro?
What's your grade?
I'm giving it a B.
What? Why a B?
Because I personally would have liked to have Dobbins instead.
Really? Yeah. See, you didn't say that at first, though.
What do you mean? You said grade the pick. It's a B. He addresses everything that you need addressed. But for me, I'm not enamored with the 4.4 speed because when I watch the tape, he doesn't play at 4.4. So I don't factor that in. I'm like, I've seen guys that tested at 4.7, but they play at 4.4. I've seen guys that ran 4.4 and play at 4.6. So for me, that doesn't move the needle for me. When I look at the tape, I say, okay, I don't see 4.4 speed. I'm not seeing him pulling away from guys. I'm not seeing him creating a ton of separation. Does he block well? Absolutely. I love that. Does he have combat catching? Absolutely. I love that too. But does he when I look at this pick, for me to say it's an A, that would mean hey man, if Juju were to go down, this guy is ready to go right now. I'm not concerned at all. I don't feel that way right now.
I don't think you would have gotten that from anyone in the second round.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. That's all I'm saying, man. And the way the receivers fell off the board too, that changed a lot. But at the time, for me, man, I'm not about to put an A on it just because it's still a second round pick. Like, like what? Nah, it's a B. It's a good pick, a really good.
You know
pick.
what? You know what? It's more based off position. For me, at least.
Explain, please.
Because we did everything that I wanted the Steelers to do. So
just not take a quarterback. That's all you cared about. So it's gonna be an A regardless because there was no quarterback pick.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I told you, receiver, running back, and outside linebacker. Those were the 3 first picks. So I was good with that. And then we touched on the offensive line, got a safety too, D tackle.
So I'm expecting to hear just A from you.
Probably. I might sprinkle in a B plus or an A minus.
You are funny, man.
But the total draft grade for me is an A. So I gotta.
It doesn't surprise me.
I gotta figure out how to average this out as we go.
Surprise me. Why did I even ask that? Hey, Deke, what grade do you give the draft? A plus.
Just an A. No, not A plus. Not A plus. An A plus draft. Let me think. I don't even know if I could give an A plus draft for any of the prior Steeler drafts, because I think there was always something I'd complain about.
Okay.
So.
You're funny, bro.
A for this pick.
Yeah.
Do we want to roll to the next pick?
Yeah, man, let's do it, man. So the 3rd round pick, Alex Highsmith, we talked about him out of Charlotte. I like this pick a lot. I was a little, when I looked into him more, because you know me being a defensive guy, edge guy, I'm like, I really want to check this guy out. Definitely productive, man. Really great hand usage. I think Coach Simon talks about that. And in terms of his rush plan, I was able to see some of the clips, the different moves that he uses. He has a spin move. He has a speed rush, dip under. I definitely liked all of those things. I was a little concerned with his productivity in the sense of this last season, he had 14 and a half sacks. That's all he talked about. But up until then, he had no more than like 3 sacks in a season. And that was the part that concerned me. And then when I looked at the tape and checked the stats of who he was getting the sacks against, he had 4.5 sacks his last game of the year against ODU. And I was like, dang, so that took him from...
Dude, why you got to look that up, man?
Well, because I told you, it's layers to this thing. It's like how you said, I looked at us on 4-4 and was like, yo, this guy's really good. I'm like, you cut the tape on, tape doesn't say 4-4. So for me, I'm like, let me look at the tape. Let me see, okay, is he a consistent 14, 9s, 10 sack season guy? Or was this like one of those crazy type years, which you've seen? Because that's the same knock that people put on Bud Dupree, right? Oh, he only did it because it's contract year. Did he only do it because it was a draft year? It's serious. It's funny, right? People want to
kind of savvy.
People pick and choose when they want to make that argument. So I'm just like, hey, man, if we keeping the same energy, let's keep the same energy here then. So my man had 14 and a half that last season. I'm just like, all right.
I mean, you would have thought, though, for your freshman, sophomore, and junior season, though, he went 3rd round. I mean, you want to ball out all those seasons, right?
You
trying to get in the second or first round.
Hey, Bud Dupree win the first round. You trying to get the extra contract. You want to ball out every year, right?
Kinda, but
not kinda.
I mean,
no. That's the argument. You want to ball out every year because you gonna make more money.
I think it's different.
You might get extended earlier.
That contract, though.
What you mean?
Versus like the rookie contract.
What do you mean?
I mean, you can literally make that big ass contract just from that 1 year, though.
Not necessarily, because he got franchise tag. We're talking about Bud, right?
Right. I mean, that's the rules of the NFL. Though. That's kind of screwing the players.
No, not even that. I'm saying that Bud would have had the type of seasons that TJ's been having, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking about TJ getting extended before he even gets the 5th year option. Okay. That's the difference, because TJ's already produced.
Yeah.
So he's going to get paid on the front end. He's not going to have to worry about a tag.
I get what you're saying.
Whereas Bud, because it took to that last year, now he gets the franchise tag. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, the incentive is for you to ball out early on if we're going that route. What you're trying to say in terms of when you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, you want to try to produce and get those numbers early because it's going to help you with the draft.
I mean, it is. I mean, it would be better to do it just like your junior, senior year.
Yeah,
I mean,
or you do it your first 3 years and you leave early.
That's true, too. Who's making?
I'm just saying.
I'm not making that excuse. It's a funny thing.
I just wanted to bring it to the attention. You know me. I just like to present facts. And that's it, because
the hypocrisy.
Because exactly,
it's funny.
I'm not a fan of hypocrites, and people are quick to get on Bud. And man, it was only because he did it a contract year, and that's going to be the argument that people are going to talk about this season when they're like, "Hey, man, we're not worried about what Bud does because we already got his replacement right here. This guy, man, he's better than Bud anyway. We know we're going to hear all this, right?" But I just want people to remember, when y'all talk about Bud only did it for that 1 year. just know that this guy, Alex, I don't even know the guy yet. And I'm a fan
of
of
the
it.
4 sacks in the last game.
4.5. Not even 4.5 sacks in the last game. And I was like, wow. All right, cool. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But when I really looked, like I said, when I watched his tape, though, in terms of like the sacks that he was getting, I did like the style of them. They weren't the cheapy dude holding the ball for 5-second sacks. No. Like when he was getting the sacks, he was kicking, but he was cooking. So I did like that. That was the part that made me really excited about him, because I said, man, I've seen guys get great like sack numbers, but they really didn't do anything to get the sack. I mean, it was a guy that I played with in Buffalo, and then he actually went to the Jets. I think he had 1 sack his whole time in Buffalo. Goes to the Jets, he gets 6 sacks in one season. I'm like, yo, this is crazy. And I'm watching the tape. Man, he got a sack one time. The quarterback held the ball for 5 seconds. Quarterback scrambled to the right, scrambled back to the left, ran out of bounds. He was close, got to the full sack for him. It was that type of stuff. But then you look on the stats. Oh, 6 sacks.
And he got a nice contract after that?
No, he didn't. But the talk was he had 6 sacks. They like really hyped it up. Like, yo, y'all lost, man. Look what this dude is doing. I'm like, y'all are crazy. If you pay him, you're a fool. So that's why I always like to just see the quality of the sack and how they went about getting them.
Oh, you could tell his sacks.
Yeah, they were definitely legit, man. So that was a big thing. And I also like his size, too. I mean, he's not an undersized pass rusher. He's a grown man in terms of his build, his framework. Same body type as a Bud Dupree in terms of like that 6'3", 250, 255 type body build. So I definitely like that a lot about him. And I think, man, when we talked about the need for outside linebacker, it was TJ Watt, Bud Dupree. And then from there, you have Ola Adeniyi, who's dealt with injuries. He's shown potential in preseason games, but he's dealt with a ton of injuries.
Yeah, we haven't seen him.
And then Tazar Skipper, who was the preseason darling, but that really hasn't produced anything in the regular season. Yeah, I think he had a sack with the Giants. But even then, they still were, open to releasing him. Yeah, and then we brought him back. So for me, if you're the Steelers, you release Anthony Chickler, who's been your third outside rusher and special teams guy for the past couple of seasons now. How do you replace that? And I think that this was a great pickup, because not only do you bring in a higher pedigree guy, because we talk about Ola, we talk about Tazar, they weren't high first round draft picks, second round draft picks. So when you bring in a guy like Alex, that's going to ultimately bring a high pedigree guy and a guy that you're going to feel a lot more comfortable with, a guy that you can groom, but a guy who has those intangibles that you can't coach, that size, the speed, the hand usage, the vision, all that type of stuff. So the fact that he already has that, that's a huge plus, but it also brings that competition into that room.
Yeah. Because
Ola's a guy that's hungry. Ola wants to be the guy. Ola has proven in some of these preseason games that he's capable. But the biggest knock on him is the health element of it. So now it's going to challenge him to step his game up even more. But in turn, it's going to challenge Alex to make Alex a better player, because they're not going to just make Alex a third rusher just because where he got drafted. Everybody know in Pittsburgh, that's not how they operate. They don't care. I mean, I feel like Pittsburgh's the only place where they'll have first rounders running down on kickoff. Like I remember seeing Ryan Shazier, first round draft pick, covering kicks. I'm like, this is nuts. Like anywhere else, that does not happen. Still, they don't care. You got to earn it. So in that regard, it's going to make all those guys in that room push each other that much more. And I think that's going to be more beneficial to that team. So I definitely like that a lot, man.
No, for sure. Long term, like we said, if Bud doesn't sign, you potentially have a replacement there. And then right now, he could be the spell linebacker that could come in, depending on the competition, right? Because any of those three could beat
between
each other
Ola,
out.
Tazar, and Alex. Absolutely.
So here's my thing. I mean, do you have a butt with that, though? Because there was a lot of like positivity. Is there anything
I already told you, my initial butt was the fact that...
Just competition?
No. My initial butt was only for the fact that Alex didn't have the same type of productivity those first 3 years.
Okay.
Anytime I see 1 year crazy spike, like if it was he went from 4 sacks to 9 sacks, that's still not crazy. That's like, okay, that's still realistic. To go from 4 sacks to 14 and a half, that's nuts. Like, whoa.
Hey, it could be a late bloomer.
And even with Bud, like people talk crazy about Bud going from 7 sacks to 10 sacks as if that was a 10 sack increase. Like, think about how they talk about this year compared to last year.
Yeah, well,
think about it.
You watched the tape, and you've told me this before, that year before this last one actually wasn't that bad.
It wasn't.
It was actually really good.
It could have been a legit 10-sack season when you look at how everything was playing out with these rushes, the wins he was getting. But they looked at that jump as if that was the craziest. Oh my God, he went. It was a 3-sack increase, 3, and we're like, that's it. Like this dude, a 10-sack increase. And that was my biggest thing. I'm just like, that makes me a little nervous, but I'm banking on the side of he's hitting his stride now because
Late bloomer, yeah.
call it what you want to call it.
That's what I'm calling it.
Call it what you want to call it. I look at it like this though, man. As a player, you want to get better each year. As a player, you want to understand more each year. You want to get a more developed rush plan. Now, I didn't have access to any of his junior, sophomore tape to see what was the difference in his style of play.
Got you.
Because then you could compare and contrast. Like for me, that's why when we talk about Bud, I'm not surprised by the sacks that he had this year because I was like, well, if you looked at the year before, it was already in that direction. Could this be a similar situation? I don't know because I wasn't able to see that. So that's something that I would be interested to see, like, okay, how has that development went? But I'm always going to err on the side of, you know what? I think he's going to be heading in the right direction.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that this is more going to be the norm for him. Not saying that he's going to come in next year and have 10 sacks because the NFL level is crazy. It's hard to do that. It's a reason why 10 sacks is the benchmark because a lot of people cannot get to it. It's tough to do. But with this guy, I can definitely see him coming in and getting 3-4 sacks, man. Like just off of his rushing ability alone, the situations that he's going to potentially be put in. Because when you're coming to spell these guys, you're fresh. You're the change-up. So a lot of times you might catch a guy off guard. You're going to have more tape on that tackle than that tackle's going to have on you. We talk about how the backup, the guy who comes in second, always has the upper hand because they don't study the backup. They study in the starter. So when you come in, I know everything about you. I'm ready for this. So I'm definitely thinking that he can have an impact in that role. And that's why I definitely like that a lot in terms of him coming in and being that pick.
I did too. And you know what I'm going to bring up right here?
Oh, here we go.
Dabo Swinney, champion.
I did see that, yeah.
Champion coach for Clemson.
Oh, now we hyping up Dabo?
I mean, he's got some credentials.
All right, okay.
He's got some credentials.
Okay, here we go.
Wouldn't we say?
Here we go.
Number 2 head coach in the college football ranks.
Number 2?
Yeah, after Nick Saban. That's a pretty good accolade right there. So he says they just so happened to play Charlotte last year, and he says about Highsmith.
And they played him at it was a week 5, I think it was. So they already had a couple of teams that had some opponents. Just putting in context.
They probably have the best player that we've seen to this point in that number 5, Highsmith. I kept watching him and going, holy cow. He also said he's physical and fast. He's causing sacks and tips. They had a pick 6 against UMass that he caused and created, but he's a really, really good football player. But he could play for anyone in the country.
Yeah.
High praise right there.
And then also one of the starting tackles for Clemson said that he has the fastest first that he ever saw.
So what's there not to like? I mean, you were giving him some nice praise there.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it from Dabo Swinney too.
Absolutely.
You can watch the tape, and like you said, his sacks they're commanding. It's not like like you said the quarterback's just leaning into him and he's just barely getting them or running out of bounds, anything like that. Like he's really getting these sacks. Yeah. So I like the pick. It was a fit. It was something we needed. So I'm definitely good with it.
A+?
You know what? I'll give it an A-.
What?
A-, B+, maybe.
What?
I mean, you brought up the competition. Maybe that's something to consider. But I really like
against
the pick.
Clemson.
I really like the pick.
A-, B+.
I'll go A-. I gotta average this out to an A at the end.
What?
I guess I could just say everyone's an A. That'll
if you
equal an A.
gave Chase an A, how do you not give Alex that?
I like my offense, man. I like weapons for Ben.
Oh my gosh.
What are you giving this one then?
Alex, he's an A.
He's an A.
That's an A pick. Okay. Because you don't have to tell me what he ran. You don't have to try to sell me on any other intangible. Man. I can cut the tape on and I see him kicking butt. When we talked about Chase Claypool, when we cut his tape on initially, we all talked about it how we first watched you like, dang, for real? This the pick? We're all looking like, is this a joke?
What do you mean?
I'm saying when they first announced Chase Claypool as the pick, you go online.
I saw the tape and I was like, damn, this guy's a good receiver. What do you mean?
Bro?
Dude, some of his catches
Cut it out,
sick.
bro. Cut it out.
No,
Cut it out, bro. Stop it.
What do you mean?
Stop it. You're not about to sit up here and try to do that, bro. Because for a fact, okay, okay, well then you're the only one in all the Steel Nation that was like that then. Because everyone else was like, yo, for real? This the receiver? This is crazy.
Me and Colbert know what's up.
Yeah, all right. So you're funny. You're funny.
We got an eye for
But you know how I can tell you lying? Because you said it yourself. Man, I ain't really see, him running fast. And then they say 4-4. And I'm like, Oh, you know he does look faster. You know what? Hey, May does look good. All right, I like. So it's cool. It's cool.
Nope.
The more you go telling yourself, the more you telling yourself, it's cool, bro.
Because the catches. That's
cool.
all I needed to see
cool.
was the catches and what he was doing with the ball.
Yeah.
It wasn't about the speed.
And what did he?
Because Des Bryant doesn't have the speed.
What did
You
you see
could
him
tell
doing with
he's
the
an
ball?
elite receiver.
What did you see him doing with the ball?
No, he's making insane catches.
Okay.
That's what I was seeing.
Okay.
I saw 1,000 yards. I saw 66 receptions, double-digit touchdowns.
Okay.
That's what I'm seeing.
Hey, whatever you say, Deke.
I'm good with that.
Whatever
pick.
you say, Deke. Whatever you say.
I'm an offense guy.
But for Alex, when you cut on the tape, it's clear that he was dominant. It's clear that you don't have to sell him on a blocking highlight. You don't have to sell him on what he timed at. You don't have to sell him on anything else. You cut the tape on. You see a young man that's crazy productive. You see a young man that is ready to go right now. You see a guy that, hey, I don't have to hope that he can make combat catches at this level. I don't have to hope that he learns to create separation. This guy's ready to play. And that's why that's an A pick for me. Because he's ready to go right now. And the fact you're getting him in the third round on top of that, man, it makes that much better because you didn't have to, invest the earlier pick, even though that's the knock on the Chase pick. And even the knock on the Alex pick from the national media. They said the Steelers reached for both of these guys. They said both of these players weren't even rated to go as high as they went.
No, yeah.
Yeah, and so for me, I'm like, hey, man, you get him in the third round. I'm not tripping with that, man. I think that's a quality pickup.
Here's the thing with both of those picks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, like, who else are you taking anyway?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know who else was on the board, but I did type in and look. There was
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
There was, how there were some complaints for the second round pick.
Yeah, let me hear it.
There were some complaints that I was hearing, DMs, people were sending me that, oh my, Jake Fromm's still on the board and Jake Eason's still on the board. What are the Steelers doing? We need a quarterback. And even with Hurts in the second round, he was on the board.
People were mad about that too. Yeah.
When we took Claypool. So you know where I stand with that. I didn't want a quarterback at all. I really didn't want us to draft a quarterback.
You already said guns blazing. If we die, we die. You want to just waste it all. Yep. I'm not a fan of wasting it, but I'm
going out like that. But on a serious note,
no, you were serious. Don't say on the serious note you weren't serious about that.
I am serious about that. But
if Ben goes down, you're like, I don't care about the season no more. It's over.
No, but here's
you already said we already had an episode.
I know, but here's a good reason for it though. I mean,
it's a good reason to say we'll just waste the season.
No, like, are you really taking Fromm or Eason over Mason next year? Is that a guarantee that they're beating them out? There's no way. I don't think they're just coming in and beating Mason out. If we're talking just for next year,
we'll never know. Point? We'll never know.
We'll never know. But
I find it funny that you'll question if they can come in and beat Mason out, but you won't question if Ben's going to be Ben next year in terms of ready to go, fully healthy, everything perfect. You won't question that at all, though.
I don't want to.
The hypocrisy. That's all I'm saying, man.
I don't want to face that.
The hypocrisy, though.
What do you mean?
Because you will face it if it's Mason in terms of it's no guarantee these guys can come in and beat Mason out. Right. It's no guarantee of that. The uncertainty, it could happen, but it could not happen also. But you see how you'll be even with that. But with Ben, you're not even going to entertain the thought of, I know he's coming off that surgery. I know the statistics don't align in his favor in this regard. But you know what? It's not happening, man. He's perfect. Let's go. Like, you see the hypocrisy. That's all I'm saying.
I told you, though, I don't want the annoyance of we bring in a quarterback and all this talk.
And what did I say? The annoyance only happens if Ben doesn't produce.
Because we saw with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love, we saw that. I don't want that situation. And then even with Hurts getting drafted to the Eagles, he's going to be the gadget guy now. We're gonna put him in. He's going to be like a Taysom Hill. That's annoying. Give me a break.
So what? Taysom Hill didn't directly contribute to wins for the Saints? Big time winning, as you call it?
Not really as a quarterback.
He's not. He's a gadget guy. You just said it yourself. So if they're saying Jalen Hurts can come in and be the gadget guy like that, what's wrong with that?
I'd rather have Breeze just handling the ball at all times.
Oh, man.
I don't want Taysom Hill throwing. He
throws touchdowns.
He completely underthrew that pass in the playoff.
He throws touchdowns.
Lucky.
He throws touchdowns.
His passing wasn't that impressive last year.
He's very impressive in terms of the productivity associated with him.
You want to line him up at running back and receiver.
Why you ain't no Taysom?
You know how I feel about this whole.
He's
going to be the franchise quarterback.
Help me out.
They're bringing in Jameis Winston. There's a reason they're bringing him in.
Well, you saw that they also said there's no guarantee Jameis is going to be the backup.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And you saw that Taysom Hill just got an extension, right? 2 years, $21 million, $16 million in the first year.
I did see that, but I mean, why bring in Jameis then?
No, not why bring in Jameis. Jameis chose to go there. Jameis said, I wanted to go there so I could learn from Breeze and I can learn from Peyton.
Interesting.
Even I'm not even going. Well, you know what? Since we on the subject,
there's
since we on the subject,
but a lot of reports are phony these days. So.
Oh, you pick and choose which report. So justify how this one is phony compared to how the other ones you want to believe. Please help me. Help me.
I do pick and choose. It's cool.
Exactly. So the report he's talking about is how Jameis was allegedly offered a better deal from the Steelers, and he said that he would rather go to New Orleans to learn under Sean Payton and Drew Brees. And it's not far-fetched in terms of when you look at the numbers.
It's not far-fetched.
But people, that's their way of saying it's false. Like, oh man, the money doesn't work out. You look at the numbers, how could it work out? And it's like, no, it actually could be true. And if they would have restructured the guys as if they were going to do that, it would have created even more space. Not saying it had to be a difference of 5 to 10 million, but it could have been more money. And that's all the reports said.
No, that's not far-fetched.
But people don't like that, man, because then it's like, dang, Jameis really chose the Saints and Drew Brees over Ben?
I don't view it that way.
A lot of people do it that way. But I did see that, and I was like, interesting.
No, but back to the whole like drafting the quarterback thing. You can argue with me that Hurts would have came in and beat up Mason, but we don't know either. Just because Mason could have beat him out. He's been in the system for 2 years. Like I said, he showed some flashes with the Jets. Maybe he was making a turnaround. So I think Hurts would have brought in more controversy than the Fromm.
You're funny,
dude. You're seeing it with the Eagles. That's annoying. I don't want to hear about gadget guys.
It's always funny to me how you want competition at every position and depth at every position except quarterback.
Yep.
But this is my thing, right? I personally think that's not the smartest thing because we talk about how quarterback is the most important position on the field, right? You say it all the time.
No, dude, you're seeing with the Packers. Dude, that was disrespectful.
Can I finish?
That was disrespectful for the Packers.
So listen up. So we talk about how you need depth, right? We talk about how you need competition in every position, right? But yet every year we see how one of these star quarterbacks go down every year and their season goes to trash. So now the Packers say, you know what? Aaron Rodgers was just dealing with injuries a season ago. Was he not? 1 year ago. He was beat up in and out the lineup. Their season was absolute trash. So now all of a sudden, we shouldn't look to bring in a guy that, hey, if Aaron goes down again, we got somebody to come and help us win the game. Like for me, I think that's the most asinine thinking for people who are like, I don't want a good backup quarterback. I don't want the controversy. I don't care about controversy. Controversy is only amongst media and fans. Inside that locker room, we know who's going to be out there. You think the Packers don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be their guy for the next 2 to 3 years? He is. But they also know now that, hey, Aaron Rodgers dealt with injuries throughout his career. If Aaron Rodgers goes down at any point in time, we won 13 games last year. We're going to keep winning even if he gets hurt now because we got a good guy. Now, Pittsburgh, since we're on the subject, and this is no indictment on Mason, but when we looked at how that situation happened last year when Ben went down, how the season, you have all this talent around you and the season goes to trash. You think we want to have the repeat of that again next year? And we already talked about how many times has Ben played 16 games in the season? Not a lot. So it's fair to assume that he's going to miss time next year, regardless of if he's healthy from the elbow injury or not. It's fair to think that he's going to miss time because history has shown in his career, he misses a ton of games throughout his career. He doesn't play 16 game seasons. So with that being the case, why is it crazy to think that, hey, man, if we invest a little bit more in this position, a la the Saints with Teddy Bridgewater, now with Jameis Winston, hey, man, if our guy goes down, our season isn't over. We can still get in this thing. And when he comes back, he's going to lead us even further. Forgive me for thinking like that because that's ultimately how winning teams think. You look at the Patriots when the years when Tom Brady went down, Matt Castle came in. You look at the years when Tom Brady went down and Jimmy Garoppolo went in. Then Jacoby Brissett. Those are three starting quarterbacks for different organizations. At one point in time, Jacoby Brissett, obviously Phillip Rivers is there now, but he was the starting guy, got a contract to that. Jimmy Garoppolo, starting quarterback for the Niners. Castle was starting quarterback for the Chiefs. So you can't just say, man, I don't want a controversy. I don't want to have a guy that's good behind this guy because I don't want to hurt his feelings. I don't want the media to say this.
That.
I don't want the fans to be talking about this because how do you win?
How about we get him some weapons and for the starting lineup and try to win that way?
And then when he gets hurt, because every quarter, you notice they talk about this, right? You notice every year they bring in a new rule to help a quarterback. You can't hit him in the knees. Oh, you can't hit him in the head. Oh, you can't land on him. Oh, you can't do this. You can't do that. Because why? They get hurt all the time. So it's safe to say that, you know what, man, if this guy's that much of an investment, he's that important. Yes, we got to have weapons around him, which they do. The Packers did invest weapons around him.
No, they should have drafted a receiver. That was
They
absurd.
won 13 games last year. 13 games last year.
Yeah, they didn't get it done. They need to get over the hump.
They won 13 games last year.
Yeah, but they need to get over the hump.
They won 13 games last year.
Rodgers needs help. They
won
didn't get it
13
done, and we
games
both can agree that was
They won 13 games
that
last
was
year. Don't hate on the 13.
felt more like a 10-6 and 11-5
No, it didn't.
team.
No,
it did.
no,
Yeah.
no. You just didn't. The reason why you didn't like it, because it wasn't Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball 50, 60 times crazy. It was defense and running the ball. So for you don't like that. For me, I said, man, that's a good football team right there. Now they just happen to run into who? Who they run into in the playoffs?
The 49ers.
And where the 49ers end up going?
The Super Bowl.
So is that an indictment on the Packers now? So we hating on the Packers for losing to a team that went to the Super Bowl?
They don't have a better offense.
No. But this is my thing.
They didn't improve their offense at all. How are they going to beat the 49ers
They won
this year?
13 games with that offense. They lost to the eventual the NFC representation.
They got smoked, though. They got smoked.
The team went to the Super Bowl. What are we saying here?
Yeah, and the Packers didn't improve at all.
They won 13 games last year. So what's improvement?
It wasn't enough, though.
14 games? So if they don't win 14 games, not an improvement, right?
No, it's winning in the playoffs.
They lost to the team that went to the Super Bowl. How are you hating on them for that?
No, I'm hating on the pick. I'm not hating on them for that. I'm hating on them for picking a backup quarterback and not picking a nice receiver for Rodgers.
So they would have picked up the receiver, and then Rodgers get hurt in week 3 and he misses 6 weeks. Then what?
I mean,
no. Explain yourself.
Are you really thinking Jordan Love as a rookie is coming in and doing wonders for them? That's my point.
So my question was this then. The year when Rodgers went down, well, this happened twice now, but the year when I think it was Brett Hundley had to be their quarterback, right? How'd that season play out for him? You don't think that they would have loved to have had Jordan Love then?
There's no guarantee.
You don't think they would have loved to have had Jordan Love then, though?
There's no guarantee. He could have been worse than Hundley.
You don't think they would have loved to have had Jordan Love then?
He could have been worse.
You don't know that? Don't
Exactly. We don't know.
But when we look at it from a prospect standpoint, his tape, what he brings to the table is better than the Brett Hundley. What he brings to the table is better right now than what we saw from Mason. So why all of a sudden now it's nah, that's a waste of a
Mason
pick.
After 2 years in the system. I mean, I don't know. There's no guarantees either side.
From a prospect standpoint. So okay, Mason 2 years in the system versus a Tua Tagovailoa or versus a Joe Burrow. Who would you have taken? Because you keep going with this argument of, well, 2 years in the system for Mason, so who's to say any of these guys? So if Joe Burrow was just magically available to us, you wouldn't have taken him either, right?
I would have rather put a pick in for a receiver or running back.
So if Joe
round.
Burrow or Tua Tagovailoa was available to you, you wouldn't have taken.
I would have rather taken Ruggs, CD Lamb, or Jerry Jeudy. Are you kidding me?
Okay, fair enough.
I would have Isaiah Simmons. I would have taken any of those guys and tried to bolster just the team in general.
Yeah. Okay.
Why would I waste a pick on a backup?
Okay, cool.
Just my point in general. I'd rather improve the team all around.
Say.
Come on, dude.
Whatever you say, bro.
I definitely would take one of those receivers.
Nah, you got it, bro. Of course you would. You got it.
Why would I take like a top 5 pick whenever there was all-star talent there?
Whatever you say, man.
Outside of that would just help the team.
So if that's the case, then so why did the Bengals just say, we got Dalton? It's no guarantee that Burrow's going to be better.
Dalton's not Big Ben.
It's no guarantee that Burrow's going to be better than Dalton in year 1, though.
Dalton's not Big Ben, dude.
Dalton is a winning quarterback. We already broke that down before.
Ben's just way better.
Okay, fair enough. But all I'm saying is this. What's the guarantee that Joe Burrow in year 1 is going to come in and be better than Dalton? Why didn't the Bengals just draft another weapon to help him out?
We're Super Bowl bust. They're rebuilding. It's just different.
Just saying.
Same with the Dolphins. The Packers could
have just added some weapons.
The Packers are similar to us. They're trying to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, and the way you win it is to have depth across the board. Because when your quarterbacks go down, which every year over the past 5 years, Ben and Aaron Rodgers have missed multiple games in the season. The past 5 years, have they not?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay. And you don't think it makes a difference if you have a quality backup to come in there and help you win a game or two?
I just really don't think outside of the Patriots, I don't know what other team is bringing in their backup quarterback and is like, damn, I really feel good about winning the Super Bowl.
Man, okay, well, the Eagles did that too.
I was gonna say Nick Foles. Dude, that was.
And Nick Foles already had a Pro Bowl before then, so don't knock Nick Foles. He already had a Pro Bowl.
That was something that was just absurd.
Why was that absurd?
No one was expecting that.
He's already been a starter in the league.
No one was expecting that. That was
He's
crazy.
already produced. He's already been a starter in the league.
Yeah,
it's the reason why Chase Daniels keeps getting paid too, right?
He was a backup.
It's a reason why you invest in your backup quarterback, though. Because if something goes wrong, you got a la Charlie Batch. Think about how Charlie Batch was here and he won games that needed to be won here. You want to have an adequate backup, a guy that could come in and you trust him to run the system. You trust him to win you a game. You want to have a quality backup. That's all I'm saying, man.
No, I get that. But in terms of not wasting, but
that's what I'm saying. You
putting major assets.
You picking a guy that, how are you going to get a quality backup if you never invest something in him? What you think? You're just going, let me just sign this undrafted guy and he'll be my quality backup. Let me just get this guy, pay him, vet minimum. He'll be my quality backup. You realize you have to spend a little bit
you brought
to
up,
get a guy,
brought up the point of Charlie Batch, though. I mean, if Ben went down for a prolonged time and wasn't able to go in those playoffs, do we really think we're winning the Super Bowl with Batch?
I think.
He did get us
you a chance to win.
He did get us some games, but that's my point with Mason. Like, yeah, I think he'd get us some games next year. But like,
we're assuming that because
are you really thinking the Saints last year they're winning the Super Bowl with Teddy Bridgewater?
They went 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah, but are you really?
They went 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater.
Are you really feeling that good?
They went 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater was already a starting quarterback in the NFL. Teddy Bridgewater was already in line to get a $100 million contract in the NFL. He had the tragic, crazy knee accident. But other than that, he was already in line. He was already a proven starter in this league.
I get that.
You think he was just some bum they scraped off the street?
No, I don't.
They didn't scrape him off the street.
I think he's overrated in general. But
Teddy Two Gloves.
Dude, Foles is the outlier. Like, I can't even. That was a magical run.
Teddy Bridgewater too.
He went 5-0. How are you hating on Teddy? I just don't see it with him, dude.
He went 5-0.
I just don't see it with him.
He went 5-0. Don't hate on Teddy.
Yeah, but
and Kamara wasn't even having a crazy season.
I really don't. I don't see it with Bridgewater. I just don't.
Hey, it's cool.
All right. We want to move on from this?
Yeah, man. So, 4th round, Anthony McFarland Jr., running back out of Maryland.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that pick, man?
Yeah, I mean, it was the other position in need out of the three, so I was good with it. You mentioned Kamara. What's so funny?
I'm just showing you where you about to go with this.
What?
You funny, bro. Go ahead. You said I mentioned Kamara. Uh-huh.
You mentioned Kamara.
Mm-hmm.
Very similar college stats to Kamara. Coming out after redshirt sophomore for both of them. Limited carries, just a little over 100 carries each. High yards per carry. The only knock against, actually more production in the running game with this guy.
Mm-hmm.
The only knock against him is they say he could be a good pass catcher, but he didn't really completely prove that in college just because the reps weren't there in terms of getting those passes thrown to him. So I like the pick. I'm just going to say that.
All right.
I like the pick. It's not, because that's probably the knock against him, that he doesn't, especially last year, he doesn't have that crazy production where he's the workhorse back. But you know what? With the way the league's going and getting some speed backs and change of pace backs, and you see what Kamara has done with the Saints, this could be a nice pick. I'm not putting any high expectations on him.
You compare this man to Alvin Kamara.
No, it's just more of those eye emojis, like look out, just watch out, you never know.
All right.
I like the pick, dude. We needed a running back, and apparently they like him, and he's change of pace back. So yeah.
Okay. I think this is where we differ.
You didn't like the pick?
Put it like this: if the reports were true in terms of Fournette, right, for a 4th round pick, if that was the whole thing, remember you were big on that, right?
Oh yeah, I still want that to happen.
So for me, I would have much rather you traded for Fournette than picking up Anthony McFarland personally.
No way. Even with the potential locker room controversy and that type of stuff.
This is the thing, man. When you draft Anthony McFarland, what are you saying right now? You're saying that, hey, we're 100% confident in James Conner. We're banking on being healthy. We're going to roll with Benny Snell too. And we're going to use this guy as our, 3rd down change up back because he can catch, speed, scat back guy. Apparently, I think of what they would have tried to do with Jalen Samuels. But for me, does he upgrade that room? I personally don't feel that it's that big of an upgrade. Whereas if you were going to try to upgrade your running back room with the 4th round pick, like if you were picking a running back, when we talked about prior to the draft, right? and why I wasn't a big fan of the Leonard Fournette thing, because I'm thinking, okay, if they're going to pick a running back, it's going to be at 49. And if they don't pick him at 49, then they're not worried about trying to bring in somebody to bump up that room. So when you go 2 picks prior to getting a running back, that lets me know that you're not prioritizing that room like that. This 4th round guy, I'm not expecting him to have that. I mean, honestly, I don't even know what type of impact he's going to have right now. I'm not assuming it being that big though. Just when I'm thinking of, okay, you had Benny Snell, who was a 4th round pick as well last year. I'm expecting Benny to have a bigger role than Anthony. And then you're going to be leaning even heavier on James Conner. So if you were going to try to upgrade that room just with a 4th round pick, well, yeah, I'd much rather you have traded for Leonard Fournette in the 4th round, because I feel like a Leonard Fournette is going to be better than any running back you're going to get in this 4th round.
No, definitely.
I just didn't like Leonard Fournette if we're going to go and draft running back in the 2nd round. Because I said that's a waste. I'd rather you take a J.K. Dobbins. When we talked about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, when we talked about Jonathan Taylor, all these other guys, if those guys were available, I'd rather you take one of them. But when you're just picking them in the 4th round, shoot, that to me, when we talk about wasting a pick, and like I said, this is nothing against Anthony, but when we're talking about addressing a position of need, I would much rather you have taken that 4th round and sent that to Jacksonville and you picking Leonard Fournette. Like, that was my mindset with that. That's why I wasn't a big fan of the pick. Now, him as a player, I do love the speed that he brings. I do love that. But like you said, the productivity wasn't really there. And then I also question, when we talked about the stats, right? Some of the garbage time stats. He played for a Maryland team that wasn't the best last year. We can all agree upon that. They started out hot. They beat, I think it was Temple on a Friday night game, put 60. We're like, yo, they might be legit. And then we saw what really was going on. It was like, oh, all right, they're frauds. Cool. So I get a little nervous sometimes when I look at those numbers and I'm like, all right, home run threat, that does play a big role in some of these numbers. At the same time, you playing on a terrible team. Like, I don't really know like what to really expect from you in that regard. So those are some of my concerns with him. Then they also talked about his character. They said this is a dude with a bad attitude. That was some of the reports that initially came out. Now, I think that even with the character concerns they put on him, I trust Tomlin's judgment in that regard, because Tomlin's son was his teammate at Maryland. So he was down there. He had a chance to communicate with him. He understands, okay, like, what's this dude really about? So I trust that a lot more than I trust the reports coming out about his attitude and things like that. But just for me, man, if we're going to put a running back as our 4th round value, I'd much rather have traded for Leonard Fournette. That was my whole thought process with that.
No, I'm definitely with you. I guess I didn't really I didn't really consider like we could have done that. I mean, obviously,
that was the talk, right?
We were talking them. I just never really thought we would. But
that's the talk. A 4th round pick for Fournette, and it was league. Everybody was knowing that.
I definitely want it to happen.
But that's my thing. It's like, okay, if you don't address running back at 49, you didn't address running back at 102. You wait till the 4th round to address running back. Dude, we could have just traded for Fournette.
I guess we feel good about Connor, man.
Cool.
If he stays healthy.
And like I said, I feel good about Connor too when healthy. The biggest question is when healthy. That's the biggest knock on him. But all I'm saying is if you were going to go 4th round running back route, I would have much rather have traded for Fournette for that 4th round pick than to just draft Anthony in the 4th round and expect him to come in and change that running back room, because I personally don't think it does. Now, if we're banking on James being healthy, that's different. But I just like how when we talk about James being healthy, you're cautiously optimistic. When we talk about Ben being healthy, you're 100% full go. He's good to go. It's not even a thought.
Yeah, quarterback's important like that.
Quarterback's important like that. Even though the past 3 years, Ben has been hurt. He's missing time.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, we got Snell. We got this guy. I mean, we'll be all right. I think Ben will make up for a lot of the problems.
I hope so. I definitely hope so, man.
Kind of why we talked about grabbing that receiver, and so that, yeah, if Connor gets hurt, could we plug and play Snell with this guy, maybe Samuels? I think we'll be all right there.
I just much rather, man, like I said, if you was gonna go running back 4th round, I personally wouldn't even touch the running back. I would have went somewhere else personally for the 4th round.
Dude, can I tell you these Kamara stats with
you don't have to sell me on Kamara. I know Kamara's nice.
No, I'm just saying their stats were very similar in college.
I don't really care about the stats in college, man. Right. You know, we different in that regard, man.
I'm just saying,
you can drop them, though. I know how you feel.
No, it's cool. It's just that Kamara was only getting like 600-700 rushing yards in college too.
Yeah, where Kamara play at?
Tennessee. SEC versus Big Ten. Yeah, there's that.
No, not just SEC versus Big Ten. Maryland Big Ten is different than Ohio State Big Ten. It's bigger than Michigan Big Ten. It's different. That's all I'm saying. So forgive me if I'm not ready to jump on this whole Kamara at Tennessee.
It's just something to look out for.
SEC versus McFarland at Maryland. You know what I mean? Like
it's just something to look out for. That's all.
I'm with you, man. I guess I hope it pans out. I definitely do.
Something to look out for. Just because the big knock on him is the just flat out right production. He didn't get all the touches like that. Could be looked as a positive. He's coming in the league fresh.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that people didn't like about Jonathan Taylor. How he has a ton of touches, a ton of wear and tear on him. This guy isn't going to have that. So that could be a huge thing. And hopefully when we talk about how running backs have traditionally been able to come in the later rounds and create a role for themselves and emerge, maybe this can be the next guy like that. I mean, even with James Conner, we saw he was able to carve out a role and produce and ultimately put himself in the position that he's in when he's been healthy. So this could be another guy that's like that.
No doubt.
And I like the fact that he's, like I said, the speed that he timed with, he also plays with. So I do like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Once he makes a guy miss or he gets in that second level, he goes. I was
going to ask you too.
What?
Nah, because I saw some people saying, man, they haven't had a fast back like that since Dree Archer. And I was like, man, shout out to Dree. Dree my dog, but I wouldn't want to put him in that same vein because that didn't necessarily pan out the way it should have panned out.
Willie Parker.
Yeah. That's a long stretch between Willie and Dree, man.
That is a long stretch, but I think Willie was undrafted. He was 7th rounder undrafted, something like that.
And Dree was what, third round, I think, yeah.
So we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm good with the pick. I'm good with the whole draft. But
so I know that's an A+ for you too, then, right?
I'll go. What'd I say? A- on the last one.
Yeah, but you said the draft as a whole is an A, so you don't got a lot of wiggle room.
I don't. So you know what? I'm going with. I mean, if I go B+ here, would I have to have an A+ in one of the next ones?
Yeah,
I can't do that. So A- for this one.
I like it, man.
What are you giving it?
For me, like I said, because I wanted, if they were going to address running back with the 4th round, I would much rather them trade for Fournette. I give it a C.
Ooh.
Well, and this is the reason why it's a C, though, because he's still a fast guy. He can still.
If the Fournette thing wasn't at play,
right? If the Fournette thing wasn't at play, then it's a B+ because of the speed that he brings. That's an element that they need. I think the fastest running back on the roster right now is Kareth White, so I think that he would have been an upgrade over him. But I don't see Anthony right now challenging with Benny Snell or James Conner to be the 1 or 2 running back.
No,
in terms of the guy that you can give the ball to 10+ times, 15 times, the guy that's going to sit in there and pass block. He's not doing all of that.
No.
So it's hard for me to just look at that pick as, man, if I knew you could have had Fournette for that same value, like I can't give him more than that. So that's why for me, I put a C for him because right now he does bring the speed element. Great. I love that part. They say he can, do some things out the backfield when you're throwing the ball. We haven't seen it on tape yet. So that's a mystery. But you know what? I'll even throw that in there. So even with that, man, I just think that, a C is the right grade right now. Because it's not a bad pick. It's just we could have got a lot more for that same value. And knowing that was on the table, it's hard for me to put that rate any higher than that because we're not going to sit here and act like Anthony McFarland is better than Leonard Fournette in any way, shape, or form. We're not going to sit here and act like, man, this 4th round pick, anybody you would have picked in the 4th round was going to be better than what you could have got for Leonard Fournette either. So that was my whole thing with that.
Understood.
You give it an A-?
Yeah, A-.
Jeez. All right.
What, too high?
I wish you were my teacher in school, bro. I would have had way better grades.
I'm not really considering the Fournette thing.
Jeez.
I'm not really putting that in.
That's funny, but you considered it with Chase when you said it was no other receivers on the board. That's why I took Chase. So that's why they get an A. That was your argument for that. But now you switched the whole argument for the 4th round?
No, what do you mean?
When we said with the Chase pick.
Oh yeah, well I'm considering
available.
Yeah, I'm considering just draft though.
Oh, come on.
That's trade. That's people outside of the draft.
We traded for Devin Bush last year in the draft. You trade.
Yeah, but that was drafting the players.
And people talk about, the Minka pick is a part of this draft class as well. See, that was a trade too.
No, that's getting old. I don't want to hear that.
People
said
all the time, man, you throwing the Minka pick.
Well, I don't
and then
say
we lost some picks because of the Devin Bush trade last year on top of that. So Devin goes in this class as well. I'm like, boy, y'all are reaching.
I don't say that. So you don't have to put me with that class because that's getting old. People got to stop saying that.
Reaching.
We want to move to the next one then?
Nah, man. So you said A- for Anthony. I said a C for Anthony. All right. Now we're moving to still in the 4th round. This would have been 11 picks later. They went offensive guard Kevin Dotson out of Louisiana. Now, I actually did like this pick, man.
I did too.
And when we talk about Ramon Foster retiring, we talk about BJ Finney leaving to go to Seattle. Shout out to my dog. They bring in Steven, you can say his last name, Wisniewski, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, Steve.
Wisniewski.
Is it Steven or Stefan? Because I keep hearing people saying Stefan.
I think it's Stefan.
Yeah, Stefan. Yeah. So
Stefan Wisniewski.
Yeah, seeing them bring him in. Obviously, you still have Matt Farley. You could potentially move down to guard too if you want more competition. I thought this is a position in need, man, with Kevin at that offensive guard spot. And Kevin Dotson is a guy that was very productive at Louisiana. I even was hearing stories about him telling the defender the play before it would happen.
I didn't hear this.
Yes, he was like, yo, we're running the ball here. And he was still like, block. I'm like, I like that. Don't do the NFL though, because NFL talent is going to kill you. If I know where the play is going, I will trash you. You can surprise me. That's different. But you're not going to tell me the play is coming here. You think you will get away with it.
That's funny.
So hopefully he doesn't continue that unless he's like just absolutely crushing people. But I definitely like that though, because also when you look at the offensive line's age, it's the oldest. The Steelers have the oldest offensive line on average age in the whole NFL. So I thought it was important to bring in a young guy, still a higher pedigree guy, because traditionally you don't really draft offensive linemen. A lot of these guys get him, undrafted free agents unless you go like early first, second round. So I think, man, bringing him in the 4th round is still good value. He's a good quality player. And I think, man, he's going to fit in well with that group up front and bring competition, because that's what it's all about. We talk about it. You don't believe in competition, but competition at every position is key, man, because it's going to make the guys play better. You don't ever want to have a guy just feel like, oh, man, this is my spot guaranteed, because now they don't have to worry about the consequences of playing bad. They don't have to worry about the consequences of being a little reckless. With this, now you got a 3-way. You essentially got 2 to 3 guys competing for that guard spot. You also have the 2 guys competing at the right tackle spot. So you're going to have guys really having to battle it out at those positions that are going to have to earn their starting spot. So I definitely like that pick.
Dude, he looks good, man. Like if you look at his tapes, he's able to man.
Guys,
I don't know what's the knock against him.
In what regard?
Just because as I'm looking at the tape, he's literally manhandling dudes.
Well, a lot of times when you're watching the tape, you have to say, okay, he's doing this at Louisiana. If he was doing it at Louisiana State, which is LSU, that's a little different. He was doing it at Alabama, it's a little different because the competition is different.
Yeah.
So I think when we start comparing and contrasting it, also you have to remember you're seeing highlights. Highlights are going to show all the good plays. They're not going to show, if he plays 60 plays, they're not going to show the 10 to 20 plays that might have went bad for him, or say he gets a little lazy with his hands, or say, he struggles with movement. Guys that like to have defensive line stunts, he struggles with that. We don't know that just yet. I haven't watched enough tape on him to know that. But those are some of the reasons why guys traditionally fall in terms of O-linemen. Like when you look at the first round guys, man, this guy has great feet. He works well. He does this. He does that. Everything across the board, he checks the box in. So that's why they go early. With guys in the 4th round, it's like he has the potential to go into that level, but he also could never develop and struggle. Think Gerald Hawkins, for example, right? He came in, a lot of praise around him. Man, big guy can move, but he struggled with movement. He struggled with this, struggled with that. And it never really had a chance to fully develop. And then also he dealt with the injuries. So with Kevin, that could be a similar situation. Like I said, I personally don't know right now, but that's some of the reasons why a guy like that, yeah.
Even though with his highlights he looks like first round talent.
I think with a highlight, are you putting any bad plays on a highlight tape, man? If you do, you should get fired.
You're not.
You put your best foot. It's like an interview. When you go into your interview, right? Are you gonna tell them every good thing, right? Yeah, man, I'm an extremely hard worker. I do this.
Sometimes you need a little transparency.
I do that. Now you gonna tell them, hey, look, man, I struggle with this. I might not do that. I'm probably gonna forget this. And I'm not the best when it comes to that.
Dude, I swear to God. I swear to God with this. So we're in high school. And there's this kid at my high school. He's, I don't even know. I think he was on the JV football team. Yeah. I can't really remember. But this was our junior year. So he's on the JV. He's trying to go to college for football, even though he's on the JV his junior year.
God, dog.
Yeah. So he's, hey, man, you still got a dream. You still got a dream.
All right. I respect it. Late bloomer.
Yeah, exactly. You never know what can happen. So he records tape of him catching passes in his backyard, and he puts it out there to like coaches and stuff or on YouTube. I can't remember, but he has this highlight tape, and he shows us it at the lunch table. and he shows him dropping a couple passes in the tape, bro. And no,
tripping, tripping,
dude. I'm not even kidding. And they look like lobs too, man. It wasn't even like full pass. Man. It's bad for business, but it's funny too because I distinctly remember some of my friends telling them, bro, I think that was a good idea throwing the drops. It kind of shows like you're human, you know?
Nah, bruh.
And he was like, yeah, dude, that's kind of like what I'm thinking.
Well, I wish my highlight tape would have had me missing a tackle, missing a sack, anything. Not a chance. My highlight tape coming from high school to college and then college to the NFL. Man, I was supposed to be a Hall of Famer. You look at my tape, bro. Nobody can touch me. Every hit's a big hit. I'm crazy pulling it from everybody. Yeah. And we'd always say, man, you could laugh. I mean, we would laugh like when we look at other guys' highlight tapes. We say, this is how you can tell how good a guy is or not. If his highlight tape is 30 seconds, it ain't long enough. You need somebody got like 2, 3, 4 minutes of highlights because that means he's really kicking butt. And not the full clip either. Don't. I don't need a 20-second, 30-second clip per play.
Oh yeah, it should be the like, replay.
Right. It should be right now. Okay, bam, turn the tape on. Bam, 5 seconds out of there. Oh, another one. Bam, bam, bam. And then you're like, okay, this dude's kicking a lot of butt. if that highlight tape, man, 15, 20 seconds, one play, you like, oh no, he trash. And if that highlight tape too short, oh no, he's trash. Like, because you gotta think, man, your highlight tape, you try to put the good players, you have only one season up there, right? Just your senior year or that junior when you're coming out. Some guys that have junior, sophomore, and senior season all up there on the same highlight tape, you're like, bro, come on, man. So you won't make a lot of plays, what you telling me. But that's the whole highlight tape thing. It just best foot forward. Mm-hmm. We'd always joke with running backs. If a running back getting caught behind it and on a highlight tape, I don't care what his 40 time is, he is not fast enough because he should not get caught from behind.
No. There you go. Little
tips of the trade, man.
So what do we got 2 more?
Yeah, man. So, but how did you rate the Kevin pick?
This one's an A. So I'm starting to even out here a little bit. This one's an A.
You're funny, man. So this is an A for me, man.
I agree with all your points too. Yeah. Just bringing in another guard for the line.
I love competition, man. I love the fact that they didn't wait until 6th or 7th round to do that because, especially here in Pittsburgh, you'll see 4th round on. It's no guarantee these guys even make the roster, even get a helmet. We see every year the Steelers will cut a 3rd round or 4th. They don't care, and I think that's why so many guys love to play for Pittsburgh too, because you don't have to worry about the favoritism or the politics necessarily associated with the game. It's some places you go, if you're drafted, you're guaranteed a spot. Period. Like, they're going to make a way for you. Pittsburgh, they draft you. They're like, hey, man, you're invited. We can give you a little more money. We got higher expectations for you, but you got to earn it. Yeah. If he comes out here and he stinks it up, they will cut him. Like, they don't care. So I did like the fact that, okay, you at least brought him a little earlier, so it lets me know you have a little bit more invested in him, higher expectations for him. So that's why I give the pick an A.
No doubt. So what we got next?
Next, man, in the 6th round, they went back to the Maryland well. Antoine Brooks Jr. Safety out of Maryland.
I was listening to a Tomlin Colbert little press conference, and people were hounding them about that. Like, is this with this draft being so unique and the teleconference and all that and so much uncertainty? Did it make you go with the certainty of what you know and kind of like the relationships and all that?
Yeah. Good old Maryland, man. Hey, but I'm not opposed to that thought process because of how everything went this year. I mean, it's a lot of uncertainties. And honestly, I feel like, and we'll get to this even more so, but I feel like in a situation like this draft, it's a lot harder for these guys next season in terms of our expectations for them and what they're going to be able to do because they're not going to get the traditional offseason. A lot of these guys, man, when they get drafted, they're used to the college style of work. They don't even have a clue what it's like to work in the NFL, which is why Zoom meetings will probably be good for these guys because it's going to help them understand that. I mean, but you talk about the expectations for Chase, right? Chase is used to seeing Big Ten receivers. I mean, Big Ten cornerbacks, Big Ten style defense. What do you think is going to be the first time he steps to an NFL stadium and guys really put them hands on him, NFL hands on him? It's a difference. Or how to condition yourself to play at this level because it's a lot harder.
Yeah,
I thought I was in great shape at JMU. I would never come off. I'm like, man, if I come off the field, 10 plays tops in a game, I'm playing 60. I'm gonna give you 10 off. That's it. NFL, man, it's tough to play just 10 plays. 10 plays, like, God, dog, my heart about to explode right now. Like, it's a different style of work. Not everybody knows how to work like that. So these guys, hey, man, they're going to have to learn on the fly. That's dangerous sometimes. Just putting it out there. So with that being the case, man, I do think familiarity is key, though, man, in terms of the whole Maryland connection. Obviously, like I said, Tom and Son being down and him spending some time in the Maryland area. So I like the pick. I definitely, when I watched his tape, he plays more box safety, strong safety, so he's going to be down where the linebackers are traditionally. But he also plays some nickel covers as well. So I thought that was good in terms of, obviously, you know that Mike Hilton and Cam Sutton, potentially next year, you know, contract situations, who knows how that would play out with either one of those guys. So I definitely thought that it was important to bring in somebody else. Then also, when you look at the safety depth, you had with Terrell Edmonds, Minka Fitzpatrick, and Jordan Dangerfield, the only three guys with NFL experience in that room. So you bring in Antoine, I think that okay, brings some more competition, some more depth into that room, and that helps them out. I think they ended up still released one of these safeties that they signed throughout the was it offseason?
The whole offseason XFL, yeah. So I definitely think that's an upgrade in that regard. But as a 6th rounder, man, I can tell you for a fact, it's no guarantee that he even makes it. And I mean, that's the nature of the beast. It's the reality of it. And I feel like these guys, 4th, 6th, and 7th round, they got it the worst in terms of the uphill battle, because they already have an uphill battle in a regular offseason where they got the OTAs to prove themselves. They got rookie minicamp. They got vet minicamp. They have training camp. In this situation, they're not getting that right now. So that's going to really condense their ability to put that best foot forward, to learn the scheme, to ultimately adapt. Because when you get to this part of the draft, these guys have flaws. They have the highlights always look good. We know this. We talked about that. But these guys traditionally have flaws. And it's like, okay, what does he do to make up for that? And when you're a later round pick, you're special teams. Safety, he's going to be playing special teams. But you got to learn to play special teams at the NFL level. It's not easy to do. It's not as simple as, just throw anybody out there and be fine. It's not how it works. So that's another challenge that's going to be for him. So that's my only concern with this pick, man, just because of how late it is. It's like, you hope it works out, but he's not going to get the fair offseason. I mean, for him, it probably benefit them if they were just like, you know what, no season this year. So then next year I got the full all season to actually ball. Well, we can't do that. We can't do that.
Oh, that's right, man. Your sports over humanity. I remember. It's good. It's cool.
It's not like that.
Yo, it is like that. That's what. Yeah, it's cool.
It's not like
it's cool.
that.
Nah, man, it's cool, bro. I ain't tripping.
I got my logical side, and man, I got my feelings.
Yeah, man. Sports over health. I got you, bro.
That's a whole nother conversation. But this pick, yeah, I mean, he apparently, from everything I was reading and hearing, he fits the mold of Mark Barron. He could be like a Mark Barron type of replacement. Obviously, he's taken in the 6th round. Mark Barron was a 1st round talent. Yeah. There's probably a little bit of a difference there, but I mean,
but you never know. According to how some Steelers fans make it sound like Mark was the worst person ever.
Here's the thing.
I mean, you had him on your worst signing list, didn't you?
No. I was
you did. Yes, you did.
No.
Yes, you did.
Here's the story. You ready?
Go ahead. Let me hear.
You called me up when we were talking about. Hey, what do you want to talk?
I had just introduced the topic to you.
You were like, what do you want to talk about this week? Or I got this on my mind. You want like top 3 worst signings about the Steelers the past 5 years. There was an article that came out, and you said I didn't even think about it. I had no names in mind at the time, and you said, yeah, a lot of people were saying Mark Barron. I said, yeah, that's probably right. I probably have number 1, 2. He sucks. And then you were like, no, man, listen, Mark Barron did this, and this. He helped Devin Bush in this way. He had all this production. I was like, yeah, maybe not Mark Barron.
So that's my whole thing, man. Like, I do agree, though, in terms of what they had said and what you just said in terms of him potentially coming in and fitting that mold. Because the one thing that we did see with this draft, they did not take an inside linebacker. So that means that they really believe in not just Vince Williams, because I don't think they have a concern with Vince in the running game, because that's what he specializes in terms of him blitzing.
I was thinking that this dude could get some PT here.
Yeah, because it's going to be between him, Ulysses Gilbert, and Robert Spillane more than likely in terms of that third coverage linebacker type role. So if Ulysses works out, who was a draft pick for the Steelers last year,
he looked good, but we'll see.
They won't necessarily have to worry about tipping their hand with some of these packages. Whereas if it doesn't work out with Ulysses, then you go with the dimes and the nickel packages, the sub package ball, and then you start to just filter in Antoine Brooks, similar to what they did with the safety. Oh my goodness, came over from Green Bay, went to the Browns.
Burnett.
Yeah, Burnett.
He was on my top 3 worst picks.
Yeah, but he was a similar type of guy in terms of playing him in the box, being a guy they could cover, because that's the nature of the game right now. So that could be one of those things, man. But like I said, for me, in a traditional offseason, I like that a lot more, that thinking a lot more. In this type of offseason, I'm not a fan of it because these guys aren't going to get the full offseason to learn the playbook. They're going to send them these plays and they're going to be looking like, what does any of this mean? Because I can give you the playbook right now. You can read it and know everything that it says on that paper. It's so much detail that they don't put on that book, though, that you're only going to get by being around the players, by going through these plays, by the walkthroughs, like everything that goes into on the day-to-day, they're not going to get right now.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. Looks like a good pick to me. Hopefully, I mean his highlights, like everyone else's, look good. Like he was hitting hard.
Yeah, he was getting some picks.
He was definitely getting after it. Yeah. So
plays fast. I like that.
I'm good with that, especially with how the NFL's playing out now with these nickel and dime packages, where it's good to get some speed on the field and get some better coverage. So, A-. What's so funny?
No, dude, because you got to have A's for the rest of it. So we already said that. Yeah.
I mean, if I do A, man, I might need to go back.
It could be no lower than an A for this last.
I have to go backwards. Then I'm gonna give Highsmith an A. I have to. I got to go backwards because I can't give this last guy an A.
Why? Don't switch it up now because you're forced. No, man.
I am. That's just how it's going.
It is what it is, man. You already said what you said for Alex.
Yeah,
don't switch it up now.
I'm switching it, dude. I'm switching it, dude.
You're funny, man.
Yep. So
you were funny. So for me, man, simple B. I just feel like I see the thought process with it. I like what it brings to the safety room, but this isn't a traditional off season. So these guys more than likely aren't going to be able to get what they need. And in particular, him. When you're talking about a guy coming in for the coverage role, that's one of the hardest jobs out because at the nickel position, at that extra dime linebacker spot, you're the beacon of communication. You got to know everything. That's why it's so hard to do. That's why when we talked about Devin Bush last year, we said, man, a lot of people don't realize that Mark Barron, the reason why he got all the tough coverage assignments, because that is a ton of talking. That's a ton of knowledge. That's a ton of thinking. If you put Devin there, Devin could be a great athlete, but those first 5-10 games, man, Devin would have been looking crazy trying to lock all that in. Shazier struggled with it. Everybody struggled. Man, my first time in that role, I struggled. It's hard to do. And it's already enough trying to match athlete for athlete with some of these receivers, right? But then when you add the thinking element, thinking is only going to make you play slower because now you're like, dude, am I supposed to do that or am I not supposed to do that? If I tell you, Deke, man, run 10 yards, you can run 10 yards crazy fast, right? You get there, bam. And if I tell you, hey, Deke, run 10 yards, but you might have to go 5 yards if this happens. Oh, but you might need to go 3 yards if that happens. Oh, and you might need to turn right if that happens. Now you can be over here like, dang, which one's about to happen? I don't know which one to do. You're not going to be playing this fast. That's the only thing, man. So when I look at this Antoine dude, I'm like, dude, the fact that you're not going to get the full offseason to get all that and get all that ironed out, that's asking a lot of them.
Yeah. Well,
but you stuck anyways, man. So it's all good.
I'm good with the pick, man. I'm good with it. I mean, everyone's got to deal with that, but like you said, it's a little different.
Like some
with his
guys
position.
are gonna have it easier than this guy.
Yeah, that position might be a little tougher just with all the dynamics there.
Because like for Chase, for example, right? He won't even have to know the playbook to say, hey, go and run a vertical route, go run a stop. I'm gonna throw you a back.
He can still be effective.
But he can do that. Alex Highsmith, hey, it's third down. You're just rushing. Go.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the coverage. Just rush. Go. That's easy to do. Anthony, he's going to have a little bit of a time because he's going to have to know the protections if he's coming in as a third down back. He's going to have to know all right, where am I supposed to release? Am I supposed to release through the line? Am I supposed to release on the outside? Like, that's a little different. Am I chipping on the way out or am I just going right now? Those are little things that he's going to have to work on. Kevin, as offensive lineman, man, yeah, you're going to have to get it how you live. But the one thing with him, though, he's a little more protected because he has a guy on the right and a guy on the left. They work more so in unison versus individuals. So that does help him out.
All right, so last pick.
Last pick, man, D tackle Carlos Davis out of Nebraska. 7th round pick, number 232. Whew, all right, shout out to you, baby. So I like this, man, in the sense of it brings competition for one particular player. My dog, Big Dan McCullers. Bringing in a big body D tackle, man, somebody that can come in there and potentially play that nose spot. Obviously, Hargrave left through free agency. This guy is not Hargrave's replacement, but when you're looking at some of the guys that are going to potentially take on that next step, that next role, we talk about Isaiah Buggs, we talk about Big Dan. You want competition for both of those guys because technically both of those guys have a ton of potential. Technically, both of those guys on paper are way more valuable in terms of what they can do. But the biggest concern with both of those guys is the desire. I mean, you see flashes where they show stuff, but then you also see them disappear. So you don't want to give those guys anything in terms of saying, hey, man, this is your spot. Just take it. You got it. You want to make them have to compete and earn it every day. Carlos brings that to the table. Now, not saying that Carlos is going to make the team. Not saying Carlos is even going to, if he does make the team, see the field. But it makes Isaiah say to themselves, dang, I better go work out a little bit more right now. I better go run a little bit more right now. I got to really do this just to make sure I beat this guy out right now. And I can speak to that because from personal experiences, like I remember even when we drafted Chicolo, and then after that, when we drafted Keon Adams, or we were bringing guys through undrafted free agency, it was like, oh, are they bringing extra guys? All right, just got to go hit it even more now. These guys over here celebrating they getting drafted, drinking the champagne. I'm over here running sprints, doing workouts. Like, let's go. You know what I mean? So that needs to be their mindset when you see them bringing a guy in the 7th round. Because, yeah, they're saying, hey, look, man, we know we have you two here, but we're not 100% sold that y'all got this. So prove it.
Yeah, I'm good with it too. I didn't look too much into this pick like I did the other ones. I don't know.
Oh, it's not flashy, you know.
I don't know if it's 7th round bias, D tackle. I like your points, competition. So
now you like competition. You funny.
I do like competition.
No, you don't like competition. You don't even like depth. According to you, it's a waste. Yeah, that's what you told me. It's a waste.
Nah, it's not like
waste.
It's
a waste. Like competition, depth. What? Who needs that?
It's definitely not like that, man.
Bro. It's just, hey, man, it's our guy. Go, he's good. He's a starter. He's fine.
It's not like that, man. There's layers to this shit.
No,
man.
It ain't layers. It's not at all.
Many layers.
No, it's not.
Dude, there is.
No, it's not.
There is though. It's different.
Does every position deal with injuries?
Yeah, but
does every position you want somebody that can come in and produce?
QB's different, man.
Oh, okay. Whatever you say, bro.
It's that when you have a goat at QB like Big Ben or Rodgers, we're in similar scenarios.
Still goats. It's not taken away from them being goats, but do goats get hurt?
We got
do
Super
goats get
Bowl
hurt
or bust here?
Do goats get hurt?
They can here and there.
They have
multiple
times.
People are humans out there. Yeah,
exactly. So it's safe to say that hey, I probably should invest.
How much though is the question. We
you tell me.
We invested a 3rd round pick a couple years ago. So
hey man, it's cool, man. Buy the Bugatti, put no insurance on it, man. Have fun.
We got some insurance. We
right.
got a little bit
with the minimum package.
We got a little bit of insurance, and there's no guarantee the next insurance is going to be better than the insurance we got.
Whatever you say, man. Whatever you say. Like I said, I don't want this to come off like we hating on Mason because I do think if you weren't taking a quarterback early, that because of how this offseason is set up, it really isn't going to benefit you because you're not going to get the traditional offseason work. The same thing I'm saying about Anthony and Antoine, the same thing I'm talking about those guys in terms of not getting a playbook early, or even if they get the playbook, not having the walkthroughs, not having the live like speed reps, not having the communication with the other guys to go on the nuances of I'm confused on that, or it said this in the book, but the book only talks about the basic of it. It doesn't give you the 5 or 6 adjustments off of that one call. Like that's what any quarterback that isn't going, 1 overall in the 1st round, they're not going to get that. And that's why I said, even if you were going to go the route of bringing in a Jameis Winston, for example, at least these guys have been in the league. At least these guys understand how to have success at this level. If you're not bringing in a guy who's already experienced that, it's going to be difficult for them to get up to speed in that regard. But you also have to remember that, hey, even if you're bringing these guys in, you're not bringing them in necessarily to start, but it's high quality insurance. So even with Mason, I do think if you weren't, like I said, bringing in a Jameis, bringing in a Cam Newton, if you weren't drafting somebody in the 1st round or early 2nd round, I don't know necessarily how much more of an impact they would have had over Mason, just because Mason, like you said, has had time in the system. And this offseason, where you're not going to get the traditional offseason reps to compete with Mason, shoot, any adequate quarterback, I don't even think a quarterback right now off the street would come in and beat out Duck, just because Duck is familiar with the scheme. He's familiar with the offense. Familiarity is huge, especially at the quarterback position, because it helps you play faster. What I just told you about, hey, man, if you know to go here, you're going to do that a lot faster than if you're thinking, oh, do I do this or do I do that or do I do that? So in that regard, Mason, and this could play into why the Steelers didn't take a quarterback, because they could have been saying, hey, they know this offseason isn't the traditional offseason. Out of all these other positions, it's a lot easier to play any of these other spots that we're talking about. As challenging as it is to be Antoine Brooks, it's a lot easier to come in and be a nickel corner or a nickel safety type thing than it is to come in and be a quarterback, just because you don't have to know as much. So that could also have played into why they said, you know what, let's roll with Mason. We don't need to touch that because he's going to know more in this condensed offseason than anybody else will know.
Yep. So, obviously it didn't turn out the best with him last year, but that Jets game he showed flashes. Although he did come in as a backup, though. You've brought up that point.
And I will say this: it's hard to say that he didn't show his best or whatever, because he was still being productive. It just wasn't the productivity that we were accustomed to from Ben. And then also we talked about the expectations and how the offense was geared for who? For Ben. It wasn't geared for Mason. So it was a lot of things that were going on. And then also, we've seen Ben with the weapons that he's had. Mason, man, his weapon. Deontay wasn't Deontay at the beginning of the season. Got hurt. Juju was hurt. James Washington wasn't James Washington at the beginning of the season. So it was a lot of things. James Conner was getting in and out. So it was a lot of variables that went into that. Then also Randy Fichtner, he was challenged because his offense was designed for Ben. So that was a challenge on him. So that's why I feel like it's not necessarily fair that we say, man, Mason's trash, Mason's this, Mason's that, because it was a lot of variables that went into that. But what I am saying is, if you had a chance to upgrade Mason in terms of a guarantee, like a Jameis Winston, like a Cam Newton, that's different. And now it's my whole argument of what I'm trying to get out there.
No, and I definitely understand that. I guess my thing is I wouldn't want to waste is the wrong word.
But you said a lot though.
Put that money towards a quarterback when we could put it towards some other assets to help the team. Thinking that Ben's going to be healthy. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm. Whatever you say, man. Whatever you say,
man.
What
do you mean? That's
I'm not listening to you at all when it comes to that, bro.
Why, man?
Because you're full of it. We know that, man.
What do you mean?
Don't care about that. You gonna try to say it like that to make it sound better. You don't care about that. Just don't take a quarter. I don't care if Ben comes out here and is trash or if Ben gets hurt. Just don't take a quarterback and we'll be fine. You like I said,
high profile quarterback.
You would rather waste the season if Ben were to go down at any point for any reason, because he's been hurt numerous times throughout his career, so it's not far fetched. But you would rather just waste this season with this talent that we have than to bring in a higher caliber or higher profile backup.
I don't think it'd be a waste if you're bringing in assets, though.
Whatever you say, bro.
Because you're trying to help with what you know.
We had assets last year too, right?
You know Ben's gonna be good, and that's what we had
assets last year too, right?
I don't know.
If Ben was out there, you would have felt confident, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. So say no more then. Boom. So say no more. You just said it right there.
He would have willed us to win.
Yeah, whatever you say, man.
Pulled it out.
Whatever you say.
He would have pulled it out.
Whatever you say, man.
And our weapons would have looked a lot better, in my opinion.
Whatever you say, man.
I mean, is Jameis going to do that? I don't know.
He has done that. 5,000, 30 touch.
I mean, if you're telling me right now, yeah, I'm taking Jameis over Mason.
No. You said you didn't want that.
I just think, like,
you said you didn't want that. Don't say if you tell me right now I'm taking him over that, because you want it. You already said that.
Not as my backup. In a vacuum, yes. If I'm starting a team from scratch. Not as a backup, though.
And here's why we say we're glad that you are not the GM.
I don't know. Like I said, me and Colbert seem like we're on the same page here in this draft, though.
Nah, but it's all good.
Colbert didn't draft a quarterback either, and he's a good GM.
Hey, whatever you say, man. Whatever you say.
Me and Colbert. I don't know what's going on here.
It was fire Colbert last year when Mason was playing bad, and then Duck started playing bad. Like, hey, man, y'all need to invest in the quarterback. On fire.
It wasn't fire.
Cool. It was fire Tomlin too. It's cool. I ain't tripping, baby. No, yeah.
That wasn't me.
Yeah.
No, that was not me.
It's cool.
You know that wasn't
me. It's cool.
No,
We're not tripping, baby.
You definitely know that wasn't me.
We're not tripping, baby.
I did offer some GM suggestions of AJ Green and stuff.
I just hope that Ben is healthy and everything goes fine, so we won't have to go down that route.
What's your grade for this one? I said A. A-. I'm sorry. So I'm good. I'm good then.
was A minus for. Oh my god.
Competition, dude. Competition.
Stop it, bro.
You said it.
Stop it, man.
Who else you picking then?
Stop it, man.
That's the argument I'm making for a lot of these late rounders. Who else you picking?
But this is the question though. You say who else you picking? You said that in the second round until you looked and saw who else was on the board. So you're saying it right now without knowing. Yeah.
I don't know any of the other names, to be honest.
So cut it out. Cut it out.
Exactly.
It's a C plus.
Who else you pick? I mean, it's a hypothetical question.
Yeah.
Who else? So, I mean, you could answer it too.
Yeah. All I'm saying is if I really wanted to look at the board who was available, I'm sure I could have come up with somebody else. The same way when you just said with Chase Claypool, man, who else you picking? Who else you picking? Then you like, dang, he was available. Oh, he was available.
I didn't want them.
Oh, yeah, he was. Oh, you ain't want J.K.? You said J.K. Dobbins is the second pick.
No, Jonathan Taylor did.
Okay, Jonathan Taylor. Same difference. Same difference.
Nah, Taylor was the truth, man.
Okay, whatever you say.
We missed out on him.
Hey, whatever you say.
We missed out on Taylor.
Whatever you say. Whatever you say.
Taylor was off the board. It was a free for all.
Whatever you say, man. Like I said, man, Carlos, ain't nothing wrong with him. I don't know him personally. So with that being said, that's a neutral pick. I give it a C plus because of the competition.
Yeah, give him a C plus.
Cool, because of the competition. You get the C plus. Other than that, I'm like, yeah, it doesn't really move the needle for me.
Yeah. All right, man. We got this wrapped up here.
So overall, yeah, because you said your overall grade for the draft was an A.
Yeah.
And I gave him a B. So we're good.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that all adds up there.
Oh, yeah, mine does, yeah.
Yeah, I think mine does too. I had to make it.
You probably got like an A plus, man. All them A's you was throwing out there.
No,
man.
just A and A minus. Yeah,
Okay, it might be an A minus than the way you graded it.
I should have maybe I should have did Claypool A plus, maybe threw another one of those, maybe give him a B or B plus. It would have canceled it all out.
You are funny.
And give me more variety in my grades at least. Jeez.
You're funny. Come on, man. You 15-1, bro. Everything has to be perfect. We know how this rolls with you.
One loss. Just a little ding. Just a little ding. Like A minus.
Yeah, like yeah, if you're perfect, how do you even lose? A perfect team doesn't lose. And the Steelers are a perfect team to you. So they can't lose.
Not perfect, dude.
No. According to you, man.
When we had A.B., Bell, and Martavis, and Juju, that's
and we still never won 14 games in the season.
That's when the Heinz Field was Eden.
And we still never won 14 games in the season.
Huh?
And we still never won 14 games in the season.
Well, it was a catch. I mean...
No, I'm just saying we never won 14 games in the season.
That was 14-2 right there.
We never won 14 in the season.
It was a catch, but...
Yeah, it's all good, bro. It's all good, man. Never won 14 games.
Well,
so yeah, man, that was good though. That was fun, man.
That was fun.
Yeah,
that was definitely fun.
So first off, man, shout out to all these guys that did get drafted, man. This is a great experience for them, man. One of the best moments you'll ever have getting that phone call. So kudos to them for that, man. But understand that, hey, now it's time for the real work because getting drafted is part of the part. From here, man, you really got to go out there and produce and prove your worth because every year they bringing in guys. Every year they trying to replace you. The day you sign that contract, they trying to replace you the next day, man. But what I did also find interesting for the Steelers in their approach to the draft was in terms of traditionally you'll see the draft and then you hear about a ton of undrafted guys getting signed to the team. This year they didn't go that route.
We got all those XFL guys.
Absolutely. And I thought that was smart because they're going with the guys that either like we talked about most of these XFL guys that we've named and we talked about Saheed when he came on as a guest. They have NFL experience. They've been at this level already. So you can bank a lot more on them, at least understanding the work ethic, understanding the competition, understanding the competitiveness, and just the dog eat dog competition that you have to have every day, that mentality you have to have every day. So it's easier for them to potentially transition back into that. Whereas with some of these guys coming from college where you've been the big man on campus for a year or two, you don't necessarily have that same dog, that same level of like, I got to prove it every second, every day. So I think that was one of the bigger reasons too why they went the XFL route with some of these guys instead of signing 15 to 20 undrafted free agents. So yeah, I definitely like that though, man.
No, definitely. Things are looking up.
Yeah, man. So it was a good time, man. Appreciate the people tuning in, listening out, viewing us and everything, man. Shout out to all them guys, man. And gals.
Absolutely. We're cooking. We're cooking on YouTube. Subscribe.
Definitely subscribe, man. Click it.
And I think that's about it. Got it all wrapped up here.
Sounds good, man. So shoot, man. Like I said, appreciate y'all again. And until next time.
Peace.